Well, child trafficking is a worldwide epidemic that still happens today. And studies show a high rate of survivors have been trafficked using public transportation.
That's why local organizations in Portland, including TriMet, are coming together to protect children from trafficking and sexual exploitation. It's all through education and legislative advocacy, as well as community engagement. So we're joined this morning by Lori Cohen, CEO of Protect All Children from Trafficking, the nation's leading anti-child trafficking organization, to tell us more. Good morning.
Good morning.
I really appreciate the time. Your campaign is called the Together Against Child Trafficking campaign here. Tell us about this campaign and what you're hoping to achieve with this launch.
Thank you so much. PACT is very excited to partner with TriMet on our Transit Against Child Trafficking, or TACT, campaign to increase public awareness. TriMet plays a vital role in the local community, serving as stewards of public trust and safety. Through this joint partnership, we want to ensure public transit staff and riders have credible information and access to information and tools on how to identify signs of trafficking, how to safely report it, and help to prevent it from happening in the first place.
Lori, I think a lot of folks might be surprised to learn that trafficking is often happening through public transit. How are traffickers using public transit systems in this way?
So trafficking happens everywhere. It happens in public transit. It happens in all locations. And what we are aiming to do with TriMet is to say we want to leverage the resources that we can find in public transit to make everyone in the community safer.
So how is your campaign going to teach people how this is going to work and what to be aware of? Because it's when you walk through airports and you see signs like, hey, see something, say something, or there are those be aware of human trafficking signs, out in public transportation. But what do you do? I mean, if you are in this situation, how are you teaching people what to do?
So one of the wonderful things about public transit is that it is everywhere. It is going through communities. And when we think of public transit, what we're not often thinking about is there's a lot of information on the sides of buses and at bus stops and shelters and light rail. So we're working with TriMet to utilize those resources that they're going out into the community and having billboards, having signs with information about human trafficking. Now, this campaign is a little different from some of the ones that you might see in airports in that this campaign is actually using the language of survivors. So we worked closely with our Survivors Council. So this is a group of women and men, because we forget that boys also get trafficked, who have experienced trafficking. And they have told us, what would they like riders to look for? What would they like riders to see? And TriMet has taken that information and turned it into advertising that people can see in the community. And I've had a chance to see the preview of the materials that TriMet's produced, and it's marvelous. So I just want to give a shout out to the leadership at TriMet to being so forward-thinking and taking these preventative steps.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, to Travis's point, sometimes you see a situation and you just don't know. You're like, I don't want to assume that something's going on. What do I do? So what are some of the potential signs that people can watch out for, and how do they report if they think something's happening?
So what you'll see in the campaign from some of the quotes of our survivors is a child riding a bus or utilizing transit or even out in the community at a time when that child should be in school? Or is that child out at hours where typically that child should not be out in the middle of the night? They should be home. And so look at the time of day. Survivors have told us when they were riding on public transit, instead of what any teenager, any child might do, which is look out the window, talk to friends, be curious, they're looking down at the ground. They're not making eye contact. They seem fearful. Somebody might be controlling their payment of the bus fare. Is somebody else managing how they're getting on and off the bus? So I think your question about people feel afraid, it actually goes to the heart of this campaign. We are saying, don't be afraid. there is a toll-free number, the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and it's 888-373-7888. And you will see that number posted on all the TriMet material throughout the community. And if something looks suspicious, call. Don't worry about what happens if you're wrong. You should be thinking about what happens if you're right.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
That's
for
a great
sure.
way to
Good
word
thing
that
keep in
too.
mind.
Lori, really appreciate the time, and we're going to post that number here as well. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
And again, more information at their website, wearepact.org. And if you need to talk to somebody today, again, that number is 888-373-7888.
Okay, keep an eye out for those new